See, Steve, also Pennsylvania. You're on the Wilkow Majority. Hello.
Hey, Andrew. Thanks for taking the call.
Yes, sir.
Wanted to just disagree with you on the corporate welfare stuff you were talking about before. The thing is, the corporations just keep on getting billions and billions of dollars of tax cuts from us, and that's
okay. Now let's make sure we're clear on this.
Sure.
Define a tax cut for me as related to some form of welfare.
Well, let's see. When a corporation gets a tax break for building something, like let's say like an oil company gets a tax break for when they need to build like something to extract the oil, they'll be able to write that off and not to pay taxes on that. But yet,
no, that they're not writing off that they're not paying taxes on that. They're writing off the investment in the capital,
right?
Okay, which is done by all businesses.
Right, and then on top of that, we have a.
But that's not corporate welfare, sir. Corporate welfare is what GM got. Corporate welfare is when $50 billion from the Treasury goes into a corporation. The money that you're talking about is not going to the Treasury first. There's a difference between a tax rate that is augmented by the business practices, by the tax code itself, used by all businesses if you want them to expand, meaning they have their profits, then they minus out either losses or investments in expanding their businesses, and they don't send as much to government. Different than government giving them checks.
Right.
That's different.
The profits they make off of those reduced tax rate investments are still at a reduced tax rate. Now, Andrew, we have a deficit in this country. We have a revenue.
Right. So how do you explain a company like General Electric, whose CEO was made a member of the Obama administration and made $14 billion in profits and paid zero in taxes, but then got $3 billion from the Department of Energy? That is money going from the Treasury to the Congress, to the Department of Energy, into the hands of General Electric so they can buy Chevy Volts from General Motors.
Okay, but you're very selective with your corporate outrage.
Well, the difference is the CEO of Exxon is not part of the administration that just gave us a lecture on corporations.
I know, but to conservatives, the only corporate fraud out there has to do with GE. No one else.
No, that's not true. That's not that.
What about Wall Street? They all got
and they all gave their money to Obama. This is what corporatism is. There's a difference between what you're talking about and
Obama wasn't even in office at the time of the bailout.
Right. The TARP bailouts did start under George W. Bush, but from an observer perspective, you just expect that. He's a Republican. But it continued under Barack Obama and continues today. And Obama raised lots of money on Wall Street. Wall Street's located in New York City, where Chuck Schumer raises lots of money, sir. You're describing corporatism. I am not for corporatism. I don't support corporatism. Corporatism is antithetical to the free market. It's the opposite of the free market.
And also is opposite of any argument that Obama is some kind of hidden crazy socialist or commie if he's...
Well, that's not true, sir, because corporatism is a function of socialism.
No, Wall Street exists
to
make profits.
No,
Wall Street exists
sir.
to make profits. Yes,
right,
it does.
But when you look at corporatism, if Wall Street firms can get money for their failures, then they are part of the corporatist plan. When I say plan, I don't mean conspiracy. I mean, if you were putting it on, don't confuse me with like a conspiracy thing. When you look at corporatism as a function of socialism, it is in fact one hand washes the other. The government makes the regulations. The Wall Street banks cannot operate freely under those regulations. They take losses. Government gives them money to offset the losses, thereby pairing a corporate interest with a government interest. Now, you see, the idea of a free market would be if a bank can't exist, we either change the regulations or they go out of business. But it should not be that any one specific bank or industry gets protection from government versus the other businesses and industries. That's corporatism.
I would agree with you there, but I mean the problem in '08 was the lack of government regulation, not too much regulation. And
so what do you have now?
We still don't have enough regulation.
I thought Barack Obama was going to ride it and save everything with the new Consumer Protection Bureau.
Well, first of all, two things happened. Liberals got disappointed by Obama because he's actually a moderate and not a liberal.
He's not a moderate, sir. He's not a moderate.
Yeah.
No, he's not. He's not a moderate, sir. He's not a moderate.
No, tell me which leftist wants banking interests in their administration. That makes zero sense.
That's actually not true, sir.
Yeah,
that's not true. The New Republic, we were reading earlier from the New Republic article by William Galston, who was an advisor to even Walter Mondale, who was saying, the way you control the economy is through big business. You provide big business cover from competition, barriers to entry. Then you can negotiate with the small number of CEOs who can spread your policies out to a large base of consumers and a large base of workers.
Great, that's a great theory. But what about
But that's coming from liberals, sir. Progressives, I should say.
You're just cherry picking one.
No, I'm not cherry picking, sir. You've confused this fantasy that liberals and Democrats are for small mom and pop Main Street things. They're not. Nothing about socialism is about
Don't confuse liberals with Democrats in D.C. Both parties are co-opted by corporate interests. So liberals outside of D.C. are not for the bailout. They're not for the Wall Street takeover of government, which is what happened.
Were liberals for the bailout of GM?
Yes.
Where in the Constitution would the President of the United States, George Bush or Barack Obama, get the authority to intervene in the private business of a company, confiscate private property, and give taxpayer money to a private entity?
Saving American...
No, I asked you to cite for me in the Constitution.
And I'm going to answer you. Saving American industry is in the best general welfare of...
That is not the enumerated powers.
Yes, it is. General welfare is...
No, sir, you've never... No. See, general welfare is not an open-ended clause for the federal government to do whatever it wants. The general welfare and common defense is defined by the 18 enumerated powers of Congress, not Article 2, which defines the presidency. You're factually wrong. You're factually wrong. You can feel that way, but you're wrong. Thank you very much for the call. We're right, they're wrong. That's the end of the story. The arguments on this radio program cannot be broken. General welfare does not mean government can do whatever it defines as general welfare. General welfare is defined for government in the enumerated powers. End of story. Sirius XM Patriot.